Welcome to Build Your Dream Business, brought to you by Solo. More than just a booking app, we're a community for independent pros in hair, beauty and wellness. I'm Katrina, here to bring you closer to real stories of success from the industry's finest and share practical advice to help your business flourish. At Solo, we understand the journey of working independently, and our goal is to connect, empower and inspire you. We're here to make sure that even though you work solo, you're never truly alone. In today's episode, we talk to Sam of Made with Love, a manicurist, lash artist and spray tanner. We discuss client expectations and the impact of a professional booking system on her business, including insights on pricing, loyalty programs, marketing, and building a strong brand presence. Welcome, Sam. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you here. Why don't you kick off by telling us how you kind of got into the industry, cast your mind back to all those years ago? How do you remember how you started out and how you sort of found your first clients?
So I used to get my nails done, and as often happens with nail technicians, she became more of a friend than a nail technician. And she was working from home, and you used to like book in with her when you left, and she used to write it in her little diary. And you used to turn up and she'd have booked 10 other people in at the same time as you because she couldn't say no to anyone. So I'd end up sitting there and she'd say, "Oh, Sam, can you do me a favour? Would you just take off Doris's nail varnish for me? Would you just mind da-da-da-da?" And then it was, "Oh, could you just file in," because I come from Essex, it's all big acrylic nails, clearly. So there was lots of, "Oh, could you just file off that one? Would you just stick that on?" And it was like, in the end, I felt like I was doing my own nails. She said, "Well, you're so good at doing bits for me. Why don't you just train us and go and do your training?" So I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll go do my training." And at the time I was teaching aerobics, and one of the girls that I instructed said to me, "Oh, your nails look really nice. They look a bit different to normal. I've just lost my nail technician. Do you know who does yours?" And I said, "Oh, I do it myself. I've just qualified." She said, "Oh, would you do mine?" And I said, "Oh, I suppose I could." She was my first client, and it kind of just grew from there. Where before I knew it, I was just travelling around in my car with my box of stuff in Essex, doing people's nails.
That is insane. If there was ever more of a story of it was meant to be, like you were meant to become a nail tech. All of the stars had aligned. How do you find things have kind of changed since you first started out?
People's expectations when I first started out was you got your nails done, you'd sit there waiting for them to dry. Gel nails didn't exist. They just didn't exist. I mean, how funny is even that saying that now?
And they're actually fairly recent, aren't they, really?
Clients now fit their nail appointments into their life, whereas before it was almost like their life carries on during their nail appointment because it almost doesn't ever stop. So you have to kind of factor that in when you're doing people's nails, that you may or may not get their attention the whole time. And at some point you have to say, "Could you pop your phone down for me?" And interesting for me, all my treatments moved on. Everything I was doing moved on, but my booking system didn't. I did exactly the same thing for 28 years as I'd always done until I came across Solo. You know, okay, I might do more things by text message or WhatsApp. And originally before it used to be somebody phoning you up and doing it. But effectively the administration of everything was exactly the same from the day I started to a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And actually, when you reflect back on that, you think, that's mental.
Yeah, everything is changing. You know, you're updating your treatments to go with the times, but your booking system stays the same. And as you say, you know, culturally, the way people, you know, book in their beauty treatments, that changes. Therefore, the way that you should be booking in those treatments and managing them should change alongside it.
Yeah, and I guess going back, people used to book their treatments pretty much from one appointment to the next. So they'd say, "Oh, can I book in for 3 weeks' time?" And I think now, because life is so much more at your fingertips, people want to be able to do that when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed at night, when they're doing that sort of downtime and scrolling time. And often that time isn't the time when we want to do admin as therapists, because that's our downtime. That's when we've kind of down tools and eventually put our feet up and,
You're doing your own scrolling time, you're doing your own life admin,
and then it starts to be, you don't want to get to a point where you resent clients interrupting your time. But equally, I was finding I'd think, right, I'm going to be really good about this, and I'm going to do it like a kind of almost a do not disturb. So anything that comes in after 9 o'clock, I'll pick up tomorrow. But I was finding it'd get to tomorrow and then I'd be a bit lost, because I've then got to try and book people in, and I've got to work out, did Sue come before Joan, and they both want the same time, and who am I going to prioritise? And then I'd tie myself up in knots because I'd have to say no to someone, and then it becomes really personal, and then I'd be panicking, or they go somewhere else. You become really emotionally invested, and as a result, I think you become less professional.
Yeah, and I think as an independent professional, you do have a very different relationship with your clients than you would if you were, working for a bigger sort of corporate salon, which comes with its own issues, doesn't it? As you say, that kind of difficulty of, saying no when maybe, you don't want to be responding at all hours of the night, and, trying to squeeze someone in, to the detriment of your treatment and theirs. I think it is so super important to have something that can kind of turn that very friendly relationship into something that's more of a business transaction at the point of when it does become a business transaction, as in when you're asking for payment.
Yeah. Oh God, that's your worst nightmare. I mean, I was terrible. I always have to remind myself that when I go shopping to a supermarket, when I get to the end, that I'm going to have to pay for it. And I don't ever question that. But somehow I spend hours making somebody look prettier. And then when it comes to that final bit of, well, now you're going to need to pay me. And I know that there's been times in the past where I've listened to somebody and they've been talking to me about, I think also post-COVID as well, there was bits around, it's been really hard, work's not as busy, not earning as much money. And then in my head, I'm going £70, £65, £60, and then I'll go, oh, just give me 50 quid. And then they walk out and I think, what did you do that for? But I know that there were times when I'd done that. And actually, that whole expression, charge your worth, I've spent a lot of time, I'm clearly no spring chicken. I've spent a lot of time honing my skill, and I shouldn't feel the need to give it away, because I'm not a bargain bucket.
Yeah, it's so ironic, isn't it? Somebody telling you that, work's been tough, and then you're putting yourself into that position of been earning less because I've been listening to someone's story of work being tough, and it's like, it makes no sense. They've chosen to go and get that treatment done, and you got all of this experience to provide it to them. But yeah, because you've got that intimate relationship with your clients, is somehow so hard. And circling back to your price increases, you must have done quite a few over the years. How have you kind of approached them?
Honestly, I would say for 20 years, I had a price per person. Almost. That's what it was like. So I'd have Sue, who I've been doing for 15 years. So I only charge her a tenner for her nails, for example. But then I've got Karen, who's brand new, so she pays 25. That's kind of how I used to do it. It was just awful. And I used to have to write it all down because I think I can't remember what I charged that person. And it just really awkward. And now it's just not at all. It's just, so loads of time. So I say, look, girls, clearly things are going up, and I don't do my price increases like every week, clearly, but I can say, I'm just going to put a couple of quid on treatments, and you'll see it from the 1st of May or whatever date I've chosen. And that's it, done.
Again, just taking that awkwardness out of something that you need to do as a business.
Yeah. But what's really lovely is as well, you know, for me to be able to say, so I have sort of now added in the feature of loyalty card.
Mm-hmm. You can still reward people's loyalty, but in a different way, rather than charging them a tenner until the end of time.
Yeah. And do you know what? Prior to COVID, I had a loyalty card system where I had a little card and they used to rock up with their card, and then people used to say, can you just look after my card for me? And I used to think, well, I've just paid a load of money. And that's the whole point. People forget this. You give people appointment cards, those cards you print, they cost you money. You give people a business card, those cards you print, they cost you money. You do a loyalty card system, you print the cards, you pay for the stamps or whatever you've got. That all costs you money. So, you know, aftercare cards cost you money. So I know that people go, oh, you've got to pay a monthly subscription for a booking system. But actually, when you start looking at all the other things that you could have done to make you more professional, flyers and everything else, I guarantee you'd spend more marketing and with your sort of finishing touches, you'd spend more money on all of that stuff than you would on paying for a monthly subscription. Number one. But number two, for the emails to go automated, for you to have the option to be able to send SMSs, for you to be able to do broadcast campaigns for marketing, for you to be able to let people know you've got a new treatment or remind people about treatments that you do, without there being sort of that whole drama of, oh, I feel like I'm doing a hard sell when I'm face to face with you. All of that is priceless and actually worth so much more than what you actually put into a subscription.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you saying that, clients just wanted to get those loyalty cards back. I think it's also thinking about, what do clients really want? Like, what assumptions are we making about clients wanting something? Like, do they want that little card? Clearly not, they clearly just want the points rather than the piece of paper.
Also, so we do nails. Obviously, every nail technician will bang on till the end of time about how important it is to rehydrate your cuticles, and you should be using a cuticle oil or a balm or whatever. And we can all say that till we're blue in the face. But I've now been able to, on my website, when they make their booking, underneath where the manicures are, I've got cuticle balm, so people can add cuticle balm to their appointment. There's no time attached to it. There's a cost attached to it. And I just give them a cuticle balm when they come in for their appointment.
What is your kind of strategy to keep clients coming back? Because obviously, you must have a super established client base who've been with you for a long time. Is it that aftercare that's super important? Do you have any strategies to keep them coming back time and time again?
Number one, people buy into people. So getting to understand who my client is, what they want at their appointment. Do they want a super chatty appointment? Do they want to is it lots of questions to them? Or is it lots of chit chat from me? Is it really nice, gentle music and a time for them to have a sleep whilst they're relaxing? I think it's really important to understand your client and let them know that you're doing that. Let them know that their time with you is more than just a nail colour or a lash extension or a spray tan. It's a treatment and it's a treat, and use that term treat. And I think that's really made a difference to how my clients buy into who I am and what that sort of service treat is for them. But also, I've always based this on, I think I've worked really hard to deliver, and I say perfection, but I would never let somebody leave here if I didn't think I'd done a really good job. But sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes a nail will pop. Sometimes lashes will fall out. And it's always that, like, things happen, just message me and we'll put it right. Obviously not my nails popped. Oh, and I came 7 weeks ago for a manicure. But it's that stuff, I've opened a suitcase and I've knackered a nail. Well, it's fine, we'll sort it out. Come back and I'll sort it out because I want you to go, wow, you are a walking advert for my business. I want that to be really good. I want people to go, oh my God, have you had your lashes done? They look amazing. And for you to say, I go to this brilliant girl, Sam, oh, I must give you a number because actually you don't feel like I can be your only client. Do you know what I mean? That sort of case.
Yeah.
And also, I'm always like this. If you came to me, Katrina, I'm so chuffed you've come and had your lashes done today. But if you didn't come back, if you came back every 3 weeks for the rest of your life, or once a year for the rest of your life, or once every 3 years, it doesn't matter. If you've left me today and you could give me 5 stars, if you've left me today feeling like I've given you everything that you need, then happy days. And I've got clients who'll come to me, they might not have come to me for 2 years, but then I get a message or I get a booking and they've booked in again for a full set of lashes. And then they turn up and I say, oh, is it a special occasion? They go, and I've had this so many times, I can't tell you. Oh yeah, I'm getting married tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God, like you've waited until the last minute. I haven't seen you for 2 years. And they were like, Sam, I know you're doing perfectly. And that's so amazing that they trust me. But that the fear, oh, I've come for a spray tan. Brilliant.
What's tomorrow?
I know as well that these people I get loads of people that say to me, oh, you did Doris's lashes for our wedding. And I think, blimey, that must be like 7 years ago. But I remembered how good they were and I remembered how much she loved them and I want you to do my lashes for my wedding. And I'd be like, and that genuinely happens to me.
And people love being in the know. People love being in the know of a good lash artist. So people love referring other people. So as long as you do a good job, you love being the person that's like, oh, I know a really good girl. Yeah, Sam, she's excellent. People will just naturally refer each other.
Exactly. And just that whole opportunity to be able to say to people, oh, here's my website. And I can send them my website link like that.
So easy to book, a good client experience as well. Done.
It's exactly what you said about that person in the know. So you get loads of Facebook and neighbourhood groups and mums groups and people are always saying, can you tell me a really good plumber, electrician, nail technician, whatever it may be. And if you've got sort of access out there where you've sent your website link out to people, that all can get forwarded on really easy. And actually it spreads really quickly. And it's always up to date. It's always relevant. That link will always pick up the latest version of your price list, your website. So it's not like when you used to send out a price list and that might be 6 years old and people say, I've come to book for my £40 set of lashes. And you're like, oh, it's 80 now.
Yeah. Yeah, again, so awkward, of course.
And stuff would still, people would send out copies of their screenshots of their price list. Well, but that doesn't then create a really easy link into a booking system. People now send out their Instagram. They go, oh, look, here's my Instagram details. People swap Instagram all the time. I listen to my young clients who actually have a life and go out. And they don't swap phone numbers anymore. They swap Instagram accounts.
Speaking of social media, how do you you've got a decent following on your socials and you post regularly, like the content's really good. That must be something that you had to start doing in the middle of your career. How did that go for you? Is social media quite important to you now?
I made a conscious decision about what I wanted my grid to look like when I first started, after looking at other people. And so I'm really conscious that I personally have chosen that I want a bit more of my personality to show, but I'm very uncomfortable being front and centre. This for me is like so far out of my comfort zone, I can't begin to tell you.
You're such a natural, no way.
But you'll never really see me on the screen. But I like to get a bit of my personality across. So I do a picture of my work and then like a little quote, a little funny, a little something. And it's stuff that genuinely often will make me properly belly laugh. And interestingly, often will become a real point of chit chat with my clients. So they'll say, "Oh my God, I saw that one you did this week. That was so funny." So true. I was conscious that if my clients are talking to me about things they've seen on my socials, they might be talking to other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much content out there. Another picture of a set of nails, another picture of a set of lashes. But I think you have to work out, for me, like I know the kind of look I want to go for. I want to know what I represent. I'm not going to post a picture of really heavy, thick, glamour lashes because that isn't really what I'm about. I'm about a much more natural lash, for example. I would love to be a nail tech who's amazing at doing nail art, and I can do nail art, but it isn't what my client base don't really go for it, and it's actually not what I'm massively comfortable with. So I don't post those pictures because I want everybody who sees me to know what I'm about. So I want people to know that I love what I do. I find life quite funny most of the time. I'm always looking for the smile. I look to do treatments that make the most of who you are and what you are. So it doesn't matter if you're, I did a spray tan on an 83-year-old the other day. I mean, police.
Oh, wonderful. Love that. Was there an occasion?
She was going on holiday in July and she wanted to just test out what it felt like. I mean, I had to hold her hand the whole time I was spraying her because she couldn't stand up on her own. Never done that before. But, for me, her daughter had seen my Instagram account and just thought that I'd be the right person to look after her mum. And do you know what? That for me tells me I've got my tone right. Mm-hmm. And actually, I would, there's a bit of me that would love to be the person that could go on and chit chat and, do loads of really cool, funky reels. But that's not me. But it works for me. And I think that social media is really important now. But get your content of your bio right, because that's the first thing people see. Get that link back into the brands that you are sort of focused on using. So I've got my key brands that I use with my nails. I've got my key brands that I use with my lashes, my spray tan. I always tag them. I always tag my booking system because I want people to know that I run a booking system and I'm really proud of it. And I do make a point of saying it. And I'm not doing it because I'm a licky bum. I just want everyone to think that I'm, a solo freak. But I genuinely cannot tell you the difference that it's made to my life.
You're on the Biosculpture and Sienna X Therapist Finders as well, aren't you?
And a limb as well.
Oh, that's amazing. How have they been going?
I can't tell you how many people I get through that. And that's people who really, especially probably more than anything, Biosculpture, people are really looking for you and people really travel.
The power of the brand, but then also showing, in what way you are affiliated to that brand and that it's you and that you're trained and, being able to have all that info in your bio.
Yeah. And you become, by being part of Solo, you get that opportunity to showcase you on one click. And people want to see what they're going to get if they're going to trust somebody. And at the end of the day, I've got a little room in my house that people are going to come to. So I've made a real point of saying on my website, it's an intimate home salon. It's not a swanky pants, London high-end address. You're going to come in, to my home. But once you're in my treatment room, that time is about you.
Yeah. I mean, it's the value of, having your own sort of therapist that you go to rather than going to a big salon. You know that you're going to be getting that personal service every time.
I feel really confident now in the fact that I've got a business. I feel really confident that I've got a business that represents everything I want to give to my clients. I give them flexibility to book at a time that suits them. It could be 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They can go on, they can see when I'm available. They can see every treatment that I do. They get rewarded for their visits because I've got a loyalty card system. They get reminded of their visits because I've chosen to turn on the SMS texts to say, don't forget. They get the option to be able to leave tips. They get the option to leave reviews. They get the option to follow me on Instagram if they didn't already. I don't sit worrying about, is that if that person doesn't show up, how am I going to chase them for the money? I've chosen to turn on deposits for new clients and turn it off for existing clients. And I use that as part of my, you're now in the gang. You don't have to pay a deposit anymore.
Nice, yeah.
People are often like, oh yeah, I don't mind. I'm really quite happy to pay a deposit. And it's like, well, no, because now I've met you, we've got that relationship. But I capture your card and I'll just, I'll charge your appointment. And interestingly now, that I had a client the other day who, and it doesn't happen very often, but she got stuck at work and she just sent me a message and she said, I'm really sorry. I won't be able to get to you till too late for today. She said, I've rebooked a new appointment and obviously I know that you'll charge me for this one, but you've got my card details. So just, and I'll see you next week.
Circling back to sort of the beginning of your journey when you first started out, is there any advice you would kind of give yourself, you could speak to yourself at the beginning of your journey?
I think it's to be less apologetic for the fact that I'm providing a really good treatment for people and kind of just have that sort of bit of self-belief that and confidence that if you've chosen to set your prices, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to other technicians. Don't say because I'm starting out, I'm only going to charge 50% of what everybody else in the local area is. I think it's just having that bit of faith, and I actually gave this piece of advice to somebody this week, which is you might be new, but you've trained and you've qualified. You need to charge your worth. And if something is too cheap, people will think there's something wrong with it. And I think it's just about having confidence. Don't kind of knock yourself before. People are always trying to knock you at some point, but you just got to have that confidence in yourself and that belief. And I think most people who choose to go into a treatment-based industry are people, and they're probably people pleasers. And actually, you've got to please yourself sometimes first, because you'll never create a business out of it. And if you do that as the authentic you, if you deliver the authentic you in every treatment you do, people will never question what you charge.
Yeah, and that has a huge value. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sam. It's been such a huge pleasure chatting to you, and I think so many wonderful takeaways for our listeners. It's been really interesting hearing about how things have changed over the past couple of decades.
Oh my God, don't say that.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. It's been absolutely wonderful chatting.
Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favourite podcast app. If you like the episode, why not leave a review or share it with a beauty industry friend? And if you're curious about Solo, you can download it for free on the App Store or Google Play and take advantage of our free trial.